good evening. You're watching Rush Hour with me, Samita Kareer. And of course, our top story today is on oil prices that have extended gains over Middle East conflict escalation, which could disrupt regional oil supplies. Now, remember, this comes after the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah launched drone attacks on Israel yesterday. WTI crude was trading at $77 per barrel, up 3%, and Brent crude up $81 per barrel, that is up 2.8%. In fact, this also prompted Israel's military to respond with about 100 airstrikes on Lebanon. The two sides, Israel and Lebanon, have communicated that neither of them wishes to escalate the situation, the war, further. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that this is not an end of the story. Meanwhile, Hamas has claimed responsibility for launching rocket fire on central Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces say that the rocket landed in an open area and there were no casualties or injuries reported. So the big question is, what is the outlook then on crude going forward? And to discuss that and more, we're now joined by Bjarne Shcieldrop, Chief Commodity Analyst SEB. He's joining us from Norway. Thank you very much, Bjarne, for joining us here on ET Now. How do you see these latest escalations coming in from the Middle East? Now, Israel stating that it was merely reacting to Hezbollah, an attack to defend its territory. How serious do you think these escalations are, these developments are, and the possibility of a conflagration given that Iran might also join in?
It is very serious. It is also very uncomfortable. And I think that the lift in crude oil prices today by 3% is very clearly on the back of what happened this weekend, with 100 Israeli warplanes hitting 1,000 of Hezbollah missiles and Hezbollah attacking again with 320 missiles towards targets in Israel. Of course, it's still far away from a proper disruption in crude oil production in the Persian Gulf. But, this is a very uncomfortable situation. And one of the concerns that have come after the recent attacks is that we know that the US has been working hard to reduce this tension in the Middle East. And then it happens yet again, and Israel attacks yet again. Yes, they maybe prevented a massive attack from Hezbollah into northern part of Israel, but at least it's still not a de-escalation of any kind. And some concerns are that, is the US really losing some of its power over what Israel is doing or not?
Right. And US has been trying to sort of broker a deal between the two sides, and Bjorn, we'll come to that in just a bit. But let me bring back crude prices again. Rose 3% to touch $81 a barrel. Now, it is also coming in on the back of the U.S. Federal Reserve, Mr. Powell endorsing that rate cuts will start soon. So are you expecting this crude rally to continue, at least in the near term?
It could very well continue in the near term. I think in addition to the rate cut signals from the US, we also have seen over the last couple of weeks that US oil inventories have been declining quite sharply versus seasonal trends. And we also see that freight rates from the Middle East to China are picking up, which are both very positive signals into the oil market, that maybe it's not such a big surplus, maybe it's actually a deficit, and maybe we see further draws. We're also seeing that floating crude stocks have been drawing down, almost now down to normal levels before the pandemic. We saw booming floating crude stocks during the pandemic, and it's taken time to get them down, and now we're finally almost back to normal level average 2019. So this also helps to sort of lift the price.
Right. Bjorn, let me also ask you about, of course, the Middle East. The United States, like I said, is brokering a ceasefire deal, which is key and which has been long pending as well. Now, Hamas has reportedly agreed that they will send a delegation this weekend without, directly participating. So are you pinning any big hopes around this ceasefire plan, given the trajectory that these talks have taken earlier?
I mean, everyone are hoping for progress and some kind of peace negotiation in Gaza. And Israel, after sort of the negotiations this week, and Israel said that we are doing good progress. But Hamas countered that and saying that Israel is just planting false hope and it's not going the right way. So it's hard to know exactly what to believe. What is clear is that the US is pushing hard to get this into some kind of peace negotiations for Gaza between Israel and Hamas. If they succeed or not remains to be seen. I mean, this is it's a terrible situation down in the Middle East, and Gaza is close to destroyed, and Israel is angry after the 7th October attack, and everyone are hurt and angry and frustrated, and it's a bad situation.
Right, and it doesn't really help beyond that. Russia has also carried out a series of attacks across Ukrainian cities once again. So that situation in both the countries really escalating. Now, speaking specifically about crude, we've been speaking to experts as well, including Feridun Farashaki, who stated that he sees oil going $85 per barrel this year. Do you see crude taking that trajectory this year? And what really supports your view?
I mean, on paper, the global oil market should be in a quite significant deficit of about 1 million barrels per day in Q3, which should be very supportive for the oil price and should place it squarely at $85 per barrel in Q3, and then maybe slightly lower in Q4. But we have had this weakness from China that has created a lot of concerns. Are we really running a 1 million barrels per day deficit? So the latest signs of stronger freight rates and inventory draws in the US, falling floating crude oil stocks, that is supporting the view that maybe we are indeed running a solid deficit of close to 1 million barrels now in Q3. And if so, yes, definitely we're moving to 85. What is protecting the world against, real spike in the oil price on the back of what we see in the Middle East right now is, of course, that the rest of OPEC Plus holds significant amount of spare capacity of oil. I mean, OPEC alone probably hold 4.5 million barrels per day of spare capacity, and Russia and the other associated members of OPEC Plus probably hold an additional 2 million barrels, or 1.5 at least. So if we were in a situation where supply and exports out of Iran were cut due to rising intensities in the Middle East, then it would be quite easy for OPEC Plus to counter that with spare capacity. Of course, in the worst of cases where exports out of the Persian Gulf close to 20 million barrels per day was cut in an all-out war in the region, that of course would just send the oil price sky high. But as of yet, for just losing supply from Iran in a possible escalation of this situation is well within the capacity of OPEC Plus to handle. And I think that is why, yes, the oil price is going up 3%, but the market is still fairly comfortable in terms of spare capacity to handle further escalation.
All right, so you're stating that the market is largely comfortable on the back of this 3% increase that's come in for crude, of course. So thank you very much, Bjarne Shcieldrop, for joining us this evening on ET Now and sharing your thoughts with us. In fact, all eyes will now be on OPEC and its allies for the meeting that is to happen for the month of September. And of course, one's hoping that a peace deal between, of course, both the sides as far as the Middle East is concerned will be